This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined by former two-time champion of the world, Anthony Dirrell. How are you, Anthony? Nice to meet you.
I'm all right. I can't complain. Sitting back right now.
We just briefly spoke off camera. You had yourself a little bout of COVID recently. Talk to me about that.
I did. Yep. I had COVID. My wife, and my son. My oldest son had it. My younger two didn't get it. It was just it was bad the first couple of days. Headaches, body aches, cold sweats. But after them first couple of days, I got through it. We all did, like troopers.
You managed to kind of avoid it for this long. When was it? Do you know when you may have contracted it?
I have no idea, man. Honestly, I wear my mask everywhere, so I'm not too for sure. It's a lot of people in my family got it at the same time. A couple of my friends had it, so it's kind of funny to me that everybody got it at the same time. But like I say, it's a contagious virus, so you really got to protect yourself, especially with this COVID.
Yeah, I think everybody's still in the position where they're still really not sure how or anything happens. And, sometimes people get it, sometimes people don't. Well, I'm glad to see that you're fighting fit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. And before we talk about the future, let's talk about your recent fight. You were able to get out at the end of February against Kyron Davis. Slightly contentious split draw. What did you make of the fight?
I thought I won a fight. I really did. I feel he didn't do enough. I think I connected with a lot more punches than he did. He was hitting the gloves a lot. Could I have done better? Yeah, but it is what it is. Styles make fight. I had a hurt hand in there. I got a cortisone shot before the fight, a week before the fight, but that's not an excuse. I took the fight and I went in there and fought, but I still think I did a lot more to win the fight than a draw. But that's how the cookie crumbles. You can't control things you can't control. You no need to get mad over spilled milk. So you keep on pushing.
You've been very active in your career. You've always fought at a very good level, and you've always been pretty much active throughout the whole time. This was your longest layoff, and you're also, forgive me for saying it, you're now the wrong side of 35. How did you feel when you were in there? Did you feel that little bit of ring rust?
I didn't. Like I say, my hand was hurt, so I couldn't really display what I wanted to do. During a fight, I can punch with it, but I couldn't punch like I wanted to with it. I felt good. At camp was good. I was in camp for 3 months. It was just I couldn't punch with my right hand like I wanted to. I could have got him out of there if I had it, but I didn't, and I used what I had while I was in there. But it felt good to go 12 rounds like I did, pressing the fight and dictating the pace with that guy.
Now, that was the fight that you ended up having. Of course, there was a period of time, certainly towards the back end, so it's a mid to late 2020, that you were involved in the Canelo sweepstakes. What can you tell me about that period of time?
Yeah, he called me. He only wanted me to get ready with 5 weeks. I don't think no fighter on a high caliber stage will even take that fight with 5 weeks. I mean, Callum Smith did, but I feel he wasn't ready, as we all seen. But I would have fought him if I'd had an ample amount of time. But you can't give a fighter 5 weeks to get ready, especially for an elite fighter like Canelo. You need a full 8 weeks, and if he gives me that time, I'll definitely take the fight.
What do you think that says about you at this stage of your career? I mean, you mentioned Callum Smith there. Callum Smith took the fight. I'm not saying that he took the fight for money, but, as I've mentioned, you've had a long, hard career. It must have been crossing your mind to take the big payday, even though you only had 5 weeks.
No, I'm looking out for my health first. Canelo can hit. Obviously, we all know that. And I'm looking out for me. I need 5 weeks to get ready, and that's with anybody. I don't care if it was just a low-level fighter. I still need 8 weeks to get ready. Still need a full training camp. You give me that, and I'll give you problems.
That's kind of what I was saying with regards to that. You've clearly not looked for a cash out. Otherwise, you could have potentially done that and maybe risked your health. Is that something that that kind of develops for a fighter over time? Obviously, you've mentioned you've got kids, you've got a family now. Is that something that you kind of develop in your, I wouldn't say old age, but as you get older?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be smarter. Instead of, getting hit or taking hits, you got to dodge some of them punches because your brain is not going to take it the way that you took it when you was younger. And that's the main thing. I think everybody needs to protect themselves, in and out the ring. But if you get that opportunity with enough time, you take the fight. Like I said, I would have took the fight. It was just 5 weeks. Who gets ready in 5 weeks? I mean, you got, it takes that long to get a game plan to even fight a guy 5 weeks.
Moving forward, contentious split draws aside, as you've said there, I think a lot of people share your opinion that you potentially deserve the win over Kyron Davis. What's the future looking like for you now? Because you're still very much in the mix in what is still a very competitive division. 168 pounds has still got some big names in there, some big fights for you. What's the plan moving forward?
Definitely. Anybody. I'm ready to fight. I got a fight under my belt, especially coming off this COVID. I think everybody, that's took a layoff, especially from the COVID, want to get a fight under their belt. I did. I really didn't, but I did. I'll fight Caleb Plant. I'll fight Canelo. I'll fight anybody with a belt just to get back into contentions of things. I'm one of the oldest in the super middleweight division at the top, and I'm looking for a big fight.
You mentioned Caleb Plant. The last time we saw him in the ring, he boxed somebody that you know very well. Admittedly, you didn't spend an awful lot of time in the ring with Caleb Truax, so because it went quite quickly. But what did you make of Caleb Plant's performance in that fight?
Like I'll say, and I always say, I just think he didn't look like himself. I don't know if it was because of the layoff, but I don't think he looked like himself. He looked like shit, you ask me, compared to a Caleb Plant that we saw and grown accustomed to. But like I say, styles make fights. He stepped up in competition and he got what he got. I mean, he won every round, but he didn't do it like the Caleb Plant that we, like I say, are accustomed seeing him to do it.
I had Caleb Plant on here. I spoke to Caleb probably about a month ago now. He told me that he was going to sit out and wait until Canelo was available in September. Obviously, I'm sure you have other ideas with regards to that. But what do you make of him saying that, him kind of having that opinion?
I mean, he better sit out because if he fight anybody else on a higher caliber, he won't have that title for long. He knows that.
Do you think it's good because we get to these kind of positions in boxing? It happens when it's happening in the heavyweight division at the minute. It happens when obviously Canelo's at 168, when Floyd was around at 147. Everybody has to kind of wait and see what the money guy in the division is doing before they get their own stuff. What's your potential contingency plan if a Caleb Plant fight, for example, doesn't come off?
I don't know. We'll have to sit down and talk about it. I want the biggest fight to be made. I want to fight for a title, if that's possible. But I don't know. We'll just have to sit down with my team and figure it out. Like I said, I'm still there. I'm still in the top 5, so I'm looking for something big before I go out.
What do you make of Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders? Obviously, somebody we know very well over here, Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, I think Billy Joe has a hell of a shot. I think Canelo has a hard time dealing with boxers, and obviously, as we've seen, Billy Joe Sanders is a boxer, and he can slug when he needs to. But I think Billy Joe Sanders moves very well and slips very well. But we'll see with all this ring rust and how long he been out the ring, how would that take effect on him? But I think he should do a hell of a job.
You mentioned kind of that inactivity and seeing how that could potentially affect, well, any fighter coming off the back of COVID in particular. Just give me a kind of a general idea of what it's like when you're not as sharp, what it's like going into the ring when you don't feel as potentially sharp as you would have been if you were nice and active. What's that like for a fighter?
Uh, it's tough, but a good fighter will get it back in a couple of rounds. You just got to get in there and get your feet wet. You get it back in a couple of rounds, then you come back out and look like yourself or be yourself. So that's all. Like if you're a good fighter, you're going to get that back in a couple of rounds. Ring rust only lasts a couple of rounds, as you know. You know, you probably been following the sport for a long, long time, and it'll go off. You just gotta, once it go off, you gotta click that on button and get on.
While I'm talking about Billy Joe Saunders, of course, a British fighter, your brother boxed a couple of Brits, but you've never boxed one. Why is that? How come that never happened for you?
I have no idea. I was supposed to fight Callum Smith. I had the WBC. He we had the fight set up. Then I changed the venue to my hometown, which is my right to. I think I should be able to change the venue when I need to. And he didn't want no parts of it, so he went into the supers.
It was the World Boxing Super Series, yeah.
World, yep. He went into that, and that was the last. I was supposed to fight him, but never did. I would love to. I mean, I like European. I like European fans. I love European fighters. It'd have been a great fight to see with me and Callum Smith, but obviously that didn't happen. I'm not saying it can't still.
I mentioned there that your brother Andre, of course, boxed not only Carl Froch, you boxed James DeGale as well. How's he getting on these days? I haven't heard much from him recently.
He got a fight coming up for real soon. He caught COVID. Yep, he caught COVID too. Him and his wife. But he got a fight coming up. He moved up to 75. So you should be seeing him real soon.
What was that like? I'm always interested to speak to people who grew up with kind of fighting siblings, fighing brothers and what have you. What was that like for you growing up with Andre?
It was excellent. We pushed each other. We had each other's back. I mean, we're brothers. We're blood. You know, blood come before water or boxing any day. So we definitely had each other back. We both was there for each other when we needed each other, for sure.
How did you think he got on against Carl Froch?
I think he whooped Carl Froch. I think it was a good fight, but a lot of people know that my brother beat Carl Froch. But world may never know now, you know. But obviously, if you go back and watch the tape, you know that my brother outpointed Carl Froch for sure.
I agree with you. I felt like Andre Dirrell should have been world champion that night in Nottingham. I think if the fight would have happened in Michigan, it would have been a slightly different story. What's the perception of, I know it's kind of off topic, but what's the perception of UK judging to an American fighter?
You know what? Sometimes it can be iffy, but sometimes not, because we've seen Errol Spence go over there and dominate Kell Brook, but I mean he stopped him nevertheless, but it still was a competitive fight. I think they had him up before the stoppage, but I mean sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. I mean it just all depends on the judges like you, and that's everywhere. That's just not UK. I think that's everywhere. Like we see in my fight. I mean shit. It's the same thing everywhere with every judge. I think my mentality now, they got a lot of older judges. I think they need to have the judges at ringside judging the fight, but they need to have a screen sitting right there just in case the fighter's back is turned towards the judge so they can see all of the punches that land. I think that needs to happen. I think we need to make changes in boxing, and that's a change that need to happen because some of the judges can't see. Even with glasses, they can't see. So, you know, we need to make some changes in boxing. I think that's a change that we need to make with the judges. And not saying get rid of the judges, just get them a tablet or something that where they can see the fight the whole time instead of looking and doing this when all you got to do is look down at the tablet and see the fight.
We've seen sort of like the implementation of instant replay and stuff, but it's still very much in the early stages of it, isn't it? It's still got a long way to go. What about the introduction of ex-fighters or recently retired fighters, which can either help with the judging, the officiating, the refereeing? What do you think of that?
I think that's a good idea too. I think because a fighter get hit on the glove, that's not a point. Probably most judges think that's a point, and it's not. You got to literally get hit with the glove. As we can tell with how Winky Wright fought, I mean, he fought with his hands up, coming forward, taking hits on the gloves, and not taking any punishment to the head. That's how I guess we got to get back to. I was aggressive the whole fight and landed more punches. Like I say, I can't stop the judges from seeing what they seen because they might have seen something different. Like I say, with my back turned towards them, me hitting him or him hitting me, vice versa. That's why we need to make changes in the sport of boxing. And it's good changes. It's not bad changes, it's good changes to have the correct outcome.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think with how readily available technology is nowadays, why not keep up with the times? Back to yourself. You're a two-time world champion, Anthony. Forgive me for saying it, but what's the motivation for carrying on?
Just showing people I can still do it. And I can still do it. I'm not out. I'm not out yet. I know when it's my time, I talk to my wife after every fight to ask her or just to sit down and assess my career. And we talk and she tell me if it's one more or if it's a couple more. But we sit back and go from there. We follow each other's direction.
Was the Benavidez fight, was that close for you? Was that close for you to looking at kind of where you were going with your career or assessing your options?
No, I thought I was beating Benavidez. I thought I was beating him. And a few other people thought I was beating him until the cut. But like I say, it's boxing. You can't change the outcome of boxing. You can't change, that you get a cut or you get hit with a big punch and you drop. But I was fine. I felt really, really good that fight. I think that was one of my best performances. Like I say, up until I got cut. But the world may never know.
What do you make of David Benavidez? He's somebody still very young. He's still got a lot of improving to do. How did you rate him from being in the ring with him?
He's a good fighter. He's a true champion. Like as I always told him. He's a two-time world champion. So like I say, he's a true champion. He's a hell of a fighter. He still got a lot of damn lot of fight in him.
He's been calling out Jamal Charlo recently. I've been quite enjoying them two arguing with each other on social media. What have you thought about those two guys? Because Jamal's not shy of a few words.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a fight. That'd be a hell of a fight. I think Charlo, he's a hell of a boxer. He can bang too, and he's strong. I think with David, that'd be a hell of a fight. I think Jamal Charlo pull it off.
Okay, interesting. Hopefully we get to see it because I'm really interested in that fight. I think that'd be a great
fight. I want to see David and Canelo.
Yeah, that on like Cinco de Mayo 2022.
Yeah, I don't think Canelo will ever do it though. It's a threat. It's a threat. I think Benavidez is a threat to him. I think he's fast. He's tall. And he can keep him at bay a little bit longer than the other guys. He's young. When I was young, man, I had a lot of testosterone. I didn't care if I got hit or not. I'm still coming and coming and coming. So I think that's a threat to him.
What did you make of Terence Crawford's recent comments about Canelo and black fighters?
True. Okay. When last time he fought a black fighter, James Kirkland, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, long time. There's a lot of black fighters out there that will love the Canelo fight.
If you could make one fight for Canelo, what would it be? I know we spoke about Benavidez, but somebody else.
Me and Canelo.
Yeah, well, of course.
No, I'll go. Oh, that's tough, man. That's tough. I couldn't say it right off the top of my head, honestly.
Danny Jacobs was the last black fighter Canelo boxed.
Danny Jacobs, and that was a hell of a fight. Danny Jacobs, yep. And he had a hard time with Danny.
I remember Danny came in big. He blew the weight, didn't he? He blew the rehydration clause.
Did he? Oh, yep. Yep. So that's a good one. I don't know. I ain't never really thought about who would be a good fight for Canelo.
You have to think about it so you can be a matchmaker when you retire.
Charlo, probably. Charlo. I don't think him or Triple G don't want. I don't think Triple G or Canelo want Charlo.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think he's a problem. He's strong. He's tall. He's for them games. He want to play.
I always like the build-ups to Charlo fights. Both Jamel and Jamal almost as much as you enjoy them fighting. Let's get back to you. You're very selfless, and you're talking about other fighters. Let's get back to you. Now, you're from Michigan, so you're from the Midwest. It's a proud tradition of boxing in that part of America. It's my favorite region of boxing in the entire world. What does it mean to you to be able to add to that history, being a two-time world champion? Like, whatever happens from your career from now on, one day will come where people will look in the record books and your name will be there next to all of those other great Midwestern fighters. What does that mean to you?
It means a whole lot. You know, I go down in the record books in Michigan for world titles, especially in boxing. Two-time world champion. It really can't get no better. I set a goal, you know, when I was younger to be world champion. I made that. I succeed that goal twice. And I had cancer. It's not many boxers who can say that they had cancer and came back and won a world championship, let alone two. So I'm just grateful to be in this position, you know, to keep pushing forward and keep boxing. As a youngster, I used to say I'll quit when I get older just because I didn't have no childhood. But this is what I know. This is me. I am boxing. So I'm just grateful to even be in this position.
That's what I was going to come on to next, actually. It's all the more remarkable when you consider what you went through with your illness. Going back now, I mean, it's 15 years ago since you were diagnosed. What, if you can possibly explain what that feeling was like to be diagnosed when you're a young, fit, healthy, strong man, to be diagnosed with something like that? How damaging is that to you?
It hurt it. It hurt it bad. At the time, I really didn't know what cancer meant because nobody in my family really went through it. So once I started reading up and, you know, when I read up people die of cancer and stuff like that, then it started hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. And it was tough. But when you got a good foundation of family around you and friends, you know, anything is possible. So I just kept them around, kept laughing, kept doing my daily routine, and I got through it.
How does that change your outlook on life? It's going through something like that.
It changes tremendously. I sit here and I watch people smoke and stuff like that, and I'm like, damn, like if you knew only what I knew, then you wouldn't be doing that, or been through what I've been through, you wouldn't be doing that. But you know, it's life. You live and you learn. You learn your lessons from certain things. But it's it, it's a very life changing experience for sure to go through chemo and radiation, especially at a young age. You start to look at things a little bit different. You start to appreciate life a lot more, and I do every day. I live for today. I never live for the future.
What was that like for you to be able to to come through the other side of that and still make such a massive success of yourself in your professional life? That must be such an inspiration to so many other people who are getting that news for the first time and really don't see a way out. They can look at you, look at Danny Jacobs, as we've already discussed, and see people who have been able to come through the other side and still achieve tremendous things in the athletics world. What does that mean to you to be able to show people that?
I mean, it's a big accomplishment because I still tell my story to the day. I still visit kid cancer hospitals. I still talk to people. I want people to know my story and know what I've been through, to know that it's still hope. It's still a chance that you can do what you wanted to do, even though this disease has have gotten you. Once you push through it, it's light at the other side of the tunnel.
I'm assuming once you beat cancer, boxing becomes a little bit less scary.
Yeah, easier. And I'm not gonna say easier, but like that's not the toughest thing that I've been through at all. Cancer is definitely by far the toughest thing that I have been through.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. I know boxing is not easy, but I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony, this has been a really great time speaking to you. Before I let you go, I'd like to leave the floor to you. You're still very much available. You're still very much in the mix at 168 pounds. What message have you got for fans and boxing fans around the world who will be looking to see you back in the ring sometime soon?
Just keep following my career. Just keep following me. I will be on top again. It's a lot of doubters out there, but trust me, I'll be there. If you support me, thank you. I appreciate your support. If you don't, come on across that bridge, man. It's wonderful on this side. But thank you to everybody. I appreciate you all.
Very well said. I had this conversation with Chris Colbert when it came to the end. Whether you like me, whether you don't like me, as long as you watch me, we're all good.
Yeah, that's all. That's it.
Okay, well, Anthony Dirrell, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for taking out your time with your family to speak to me in Boxing Social. First time we've done this. I hope it's not the last. I still hope
Nope, not at all.
that you follow your brother's footsteps and you box over in the UK soon, so I don't have to.
I will. Shit. Let's get. I will do. I honestly want to. Honestly, I do.
A lot of 168 pounders over here.
Yep. Let's go. I'll call them all out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much for your time.